Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Progress. To progress at chess you need to study tactics, endgames, the classics from the past and the present, and analyze your own games. And you can send me your games to that email address. This video is the second in the series on endgames, and I picked a golden oldie for you. We're going to look at an endgame from the famous tournament of Hastings 1895, one of the most famous tournaments in history. It's the 12th round and we have the world champion Emanuel Lasker behind the white pieces and Harry Nelson Pillsbury from the United States behind the black pieces. Pillsbury would win this Hastings tournament in 1895, which was a big surprise. Let's get to the position after the 25th move, which is Queen e4 to b7 from black. We have an endgame with heavy pieces. Both players have queen and rook, and black is a pawn up. Yes, black is a pawn up, but in this type of endgame the number of pawns don't really matter that much. It's about the strength of those pawns. And we see in this endgame that Pillsbury underestimates the strength of white's free a pawn. It's still on a2, but as we will see, it will make rapid progress. Of course, black also has a passed pawn on e6, and we'll see how white combines, how the world champion Lasker combines the strength of his a pawn and at the same time keeping black's e pawn under control. Queen a4 from Lasker. He does not want to swap the queens. c6, queen e4, centralizing the queen, hitting the e pawn. Queen d7, defending the pawn, and there comes the a pawn, a2, a4. e5, black also sets his passed pawn in motion. h3 from Lasker, making some air for his king to take any funny business on the bottom rank out of the equation. It's not a threat yet, but it could happen, so Lasker already makes some air for his king. Rook b4, and that's the first step in the wrong direction. It would have been better to keep the rook on the 8th rank to control the white a pawn as well as support his own passed e pawn, so rook e8 was a better move. Keeps control of the a8 square as well as support his own passed pawn. White's queen is attacked, so Lasker plays queen to e1 and e4. Looking back, it would have been better to go back to b8 with the rook, as said, to control the 8th rank, or queen a7 was also a move, but Pillsbury played e4. a5, passed pawns must be pushed, is the saying. d5 to help the e pawn, to support the e pawn. a6, and now it was really necessary for Pillsbury to play the rook back to b8, but he didn't smell the danger and played queen e7. Queen g3, very strong move from Lasker. It stops the rook b8 retreat, so the rook can now not help the queen with controlling the a pawn. Very strong move, queen g3. And now Pillsbury played e3. Just to show you, queen a7 to control the a pawn is not a good move here because of queen d6. The queen is very strong there. The threat is now queen f8 checkmate. Yes, also in the endgame checkmate patterns are available. And if you control the f8 square with rook b8, then there is queen takes c6, and black's pawns are suddenly very weak. White's pieces are a lot more active than black's pieces, and white is winning here. So that was after queen a7. but Pillsbury decided to play e3. Another very strong move, the only winning move from the world champion, rook a1. The threat is now a6, a7, and the pawn cannot be stopped. You cannot play queen a7, because then you lose your prize pawn on e3 with a losing position. Pillsbury tried queen f6, attacking the rook. And now you can't play a7 because there's queen takes a1 check and you lose the pawn. And Lasker played rook e1, again the strongest move in the position. Lasker showed great understanding of this endgame, much better than Pillsbury. Lasker is now threatening to win the pawn on e3, so d4 was played, and there comes a6 to a7. Queen d8, what else is there? You have to protect the promotion square, and back goes the rook again. Some beautiful rook maneuvers from white on the bottom rank. To a1, back to e1, and back to a1. Wonderful, and they were all the strongest moves. Queen d6, bringing the queen into a better position. Rook b7, trying to deal with the a-pawn, but to no avail. Queen takes c6, there goes the pawn, but not only that, the a-pawn is untouchable. If you take the a-pawn, there's a typical tactic. Queen takes a8 check, and that queen is protected by the rook on a1 through the rook on a7. If you take, the rook takes, and king f7, and your e-pawn is going nowhere. White wins this. So after queen takes c6, Pillsbury tried e2, but resigned after another tactic. Queen takes b7. It's not really queen sacrifice, it just wins the game on the spot. So you see, I talked at the start of the video about the importance of tactics and the importance of endgames, but as you can see, there's also tactics in endgames. So if you improve your tactics, you will improve your endgames automatically. Why is queen takes b7 so strong that it forced Pillsbury to resign? Well, you have to take that queen, but then the a-pawn, which was on a2 at the start of the video, and now 16 moves later it's on a8 and a new queen. After queen takes, rook takes check, king f7, the rook hurries back to a1 for the third time, and now to stop the e-pawn, and white is winning. Very nice endgame from the world champion, who taught his younger opponent a lesson in endgame play. He really understood this endgame a lot better than Pillsbury did, especially recognizing how strong his a-pawn was. So as I said, it doesn't really matter in endgames, in this type of endgame so much, who has more pawns. It matters how strong they are and can you support them. And Lasker masterfully showed how he could combine supporting his own pawn, his own a-pawn, and at the same time keep the opponent's passed pawn, the e-pawn, under control. Wonderful endgame from Emanuel Lasker. Hope you enjoyed this second video in the endgame series. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to the Chess to Progress channel, and I'm looking forward to seeing your comments. This is Rick from Chess to Progress. Thank you for watching.